Okay, time for Impact. Now, before I get started, I want to state that I know about Emergence selling out. It was so really bright. I know they sold out Emergence. And I'm sure people would say, dude, isn't that great? Of course it is. But what does that really give us? Guys, look what's going on with AEW. TNA is kind of in the... Oh, now it's getting darker. Hang on a minute. TNA is kind of in the same boat. If their Impact Plus shows, which is now TNA shows, sell out now, that's great. If their pay-per-view sell out, that's great. But if they're staying in the same type of venues and not going live, even when they go to 2025, and I know someone's going to say, they'll go 2025. Well, guess what? They should have did it this year. I'm sorry. They should have went live this year, not next year. They should get more talent. Important talent. Yes, Nic is important. We have Mustafa Ali. He's gone now. We have really nothing new when it comes to creative. Nothing new is in creative. We haven't seen any changes to creative. And everybody's going to say, you just don't like TNA. Of course I do. I've been doing this since 2010. I've loved TNA. I still love it. But I'm going to be honest about what's going on with the company. Now, did we get a good show here? Yes, and I'm wondering why certain things were done here when they could have room for it, which I don't know why. I don't understand why. I don't get it. Look, opening match. This match, which was Speedball Mike Bailey and Rick Swann. Now, let's make it clear, of course Rick was going to lose. And now knowing that he's in rehab right now, it's a good thing. He did lose. Because if you don't know, Rick Swann has been, at this point, suspended. He is not working with TNA right now. He's suspended. He's in rehab right now. So for him, there's nothing he can do anyway. And yes, we did have ABC dealing with I don't understand that situation when it comes to Cody Deaner and Jake something. Makes no sense, even though it's good to see Cody, and I'll talk about it in a minute. Good to see Cody not changing, but Jake not changing. But we will not get anything from Rick Swann. This is it. If there's anything after this, it will probably be the last recording that Rick Swann did. Because he is in rehab right now. He cannot come out right now. He can't. If he does come out of rehab right now, I'm saying this right now. If Rick Swann shows up after spending less than a month, barely even a month, maybe a couple of weeks at this point, in rehab, it ain't going to stick. It's going to take months before we see Rick Swann again. So that means AJ Francis is on his own. There's no way. If he shows up, that's not going to stick. He will not gain anything. So for me personally, I still love Rick. I love Rick Swann. I do. But I'm going to say this now. I don't want to see his ass on TV. I don't want to see his ass on TV. If he leaves rehab now and comes from Emergence, I don't want to see him there. Because he legitimately didn't take this seriously to try and clean his ass up. Because he screwed up. Flat out, he fucked himself up again. And again. And again, because we had 2017, we had 2022, and now 2024. We had 3 incidents where he got drunk beyond freaking recognition, and he fucked up his life. So he's got to stay away and stay in rehab. He needs it. So let's make that clear. Next, we got the system. Did we really think Brian Myers was going to beat Joe Henry? No. There's no build with Joe Henry and no build with Brian Myers. It's just a random match. It's supposed to set up with the 8-man tag they're going to have an Emergence. And it's understandable. They just had to let someone have a win. It's fine. It's alright. That had to happen. It did happen. But did I believe anything more important than putting over Joe Henry? No. Because the person I felt like that needed to be put over and generally did kind of get put over was Mike Santana. Because after that match and Joe Henry won and he got his ass beat up, Mike Santana came out and it was time for Eddie Edwards to do his match right after that fight. And what did we get? We got Mike Santana winning, who's also a part of the 8-man tag, if I remember correctly. He's in there. So we got 2 members that's coming from the 8-man tag that just won out of 2 faces. I'm not going to tell you they're gonna win at Emergence. That's what we got. Now, Eric Young versus Hammerstone. I got a little something to say about Hammerstone. Look, I've seen him at MLW. I'm not telling you that he's a bad wrestler. He's not. He's actually a pretty good wrestler. That pendulum, oh man, that pendulum suplex. I can't remember the nightmare pendulum, as he call it. But it's like a pendulum. He takes him up as a suplex, and then he does a pendulum type of move that makes him go splat. And I love that move. It's wonderful. But when it comes to him, when it comes to Hammerstone, he's got a major issue. He is incredibly stiff in the ring. And I'm not talking about when he hits somebody. I'm talking about when he gets hit. When you look at Hammerstone, he is a very solid guy. But one of the problems he has being so bulky is that he's not flexible anymore. He just isn't. Look at Brian Cage. If you look at him 7 years ago, even though he was a big guy back then like this, but he was still incredibly flexible. He could still be very flexible in the ring. He could take hits and he could sell them much better. But as he's gotten older and he's bulked up even more to compensate for that, he's not flexible as he used to be because he's gotten so bulky. And you look at at Hammerstone, he is a very bulky guy. Great. But one of the problems you get is with smaller wrestlers or high-flying wrestlers, as he's trying to sell for them, he's like this most of the time. When he lands, he's so stiff. He can't bend to make the move work. Because you got to understand, it's not the most important making the move look good when you deliver it. It's about making the move look good when you take it. The person who's taking that move is going to help sell the other person's offense. And vice versa. And if he's that stiff, it doesn't look right. It looks awkward. And I'm not against Hammerstone. I just kind of wish he would be not so bulky. He'd be a little slimmer. So he can at least be more flexible. Because he can wrestle. The guy can wrestle. But he's so stiff. When he hits the mat, he can't barely bend to be able to give himself an arch. As a person like myself, who's literally disabled, I can't use my left hip. It's permanently locked in a straight position. It's not something I talk about often. You have no idea what type of pain it's like to have one leg that's like straight as an arrow that can never bend. It just doesn't. What little play I have in my hip, it's very difficult to sit, to stand. I don't complain about it. I've learned to adapt. But think about Hammerstone. It was almost an entire body being stiff, like my leg, and it's very hard to bend. It doesn't look good for him. And I don't think it's good for him in the long run because he needs to be flexible, because sooner or later he's going to do a move that's going to really hurt him if he can't be flexible enough to be able to handle it correctly. But it's just me. We had Steve Macklin ringside. Well, not ringside, but on commentary, which he wasn't acting like a face, and he wasn't acting like a heel. He was neutral. But this is about the match that's going to happen at Emergence with Eric Young. And you can see the way he was talking on commentary that he wasn't for or against either guy. Other than when it came to Eric Young saying, you got to get out of the way. I'm the new young lion. Get out of my face. And that's fine. In the end, you literally had Hammerstone win because Eric Young got into face of Steve Macklin. So we still have something going with that. Fine. I kind of wish this story had developed a little late. Not early, but how can I say this? Do I believe it needed more time to develop? Yes. Because they don't develop these stories correctly. They don't give it like almost a month or 2 months with some of these stories. Some of these are just thrown together within the first week or two before the TNA Plus show. So it feels very rushed, very forced, and very not appealing to me. But at least I will say it was effective to what it tried to do. Now, ABC versus Jake Something, and Cody Deaner. There's only 2 reasons why they're doing this. 2. Okay? Taking away what happened after the match was over, which wasn't a bad match, it was fine. Taking away what happened with First Class, because there's no way First Class is going to do anything, because we already know Rich Swann is in rehab. So take them out of the equation. This is about Cody Deaner and Jake Something. Jake, there's only 1 or 2 things they're doing here. They either have no idea what to do to Jake and no idea what to do to Cody Deaner, and they just stuck them together because they used to be the leaders. Or, which that little tease they had at the end of the match, but when First Class came in and whooped that ass a little bit of ABC, who I can't... Tell me below if you like the music. Why did they change the Bullet Club music? Why? It was a better song. What, they lost the license to it? If they lost the license, okay, they had to switch it. But, oh man, I would have rather heard Ace Austin's old song. Or Chris Bay's old song. This song sucks. Flat out. I hate it. I'd rather hear the Bullet Club song. Sounds way better than that. I'd rather hear a Ace Austin's older song or a Chris Bay's older song, and they now use that. Not combine, just one of them compared to that song, because it sucks. But when you look at Jake Something, when you look at Cody, either it comes down to 2 reasons why they're even together. Either they have no clue what to do with them both, and they just stuck them together, because as you saw in the very beginning, as Cody was about to go through his monologue of saying, this is not what I want or Jake wants, this is what the fans want. And he cuts them off and said, no, we got to prove that we're a team in this tag division. Now, if they did not show Jake getting upset and not angry, but upset and not trying to help ABC, then pretty much this would be that they have no clue what to do with them. And they just stuck them together because they stuck them together. And if you love them together, more power to you. I don't. You know why? I don't want to see the Deaners again. I'm not saying they're going to go back to the old Deaners stick, but legitimately, I don't want to see Jake work with Cody. Either fight Cody, yes, or have Jake go off into the main title scene like he should, because they need new people in the main title scene. And I would like to see a Jake Something get built up to go up against Nic Nimitz, at least after Emergence, when we have the 1-hour Iron Man match, and I'll get to in a few minutes. But that's the way it felt. It should be that way. Now, the match by Elegance. A street fight. That's what it felt like. It felt like a street fight. What made it different was some of the things they were done in pink. You got a pink chair, you got a pink trash can, you got a pink trash can lid, you got, I think there was something else that was pink, I can't remember what it was, but essentially they stylized it to being pink for Ash. Now, should this have been on Emergence? Yes. Yeah. I'm telling you right now, there's supposed to be a 6 knockout tag that's supposed to be on Emergence. Why? Why are we getting a 6 knockout tag when you could have stuck this on there and still done the same thing? And guess what? The fans were mainly responsive to it. Let's make this clear. I'm not saying that Ash is a great wrestler. She's not. She's an okay to good wrestler. Does she have a good gimmick? Yes, she has a decently good gimmick. She's been there since January. She's been there 6 months. I have no idea how much longer she's going to stay. Maybe she's permanent, or maybe she's only doing a contract for maybe 9 months to a year, and then she goes off like Naomi did. Trent. But at this moment, she's not that bad of a talent when it comes to the knockouts. She's not. I'm not telling you that she's great, but she's not bad. And the crowd was responsive to the match. Look, you literally had Jordan Brace put Ash through, well, not through, because I don't know if I'm putting images down, I'm probably not, but let me paint you a picture here. Ash is on the second turnrope. Before that, the pink trash can was placed right near the turnrope. It is not turned over where you can just go straight in. It is the opposite side where it's sealed off and Ash is slammed into it. Stomach first. And then what did we get? We get Jordynne Grace doing a helo off the second or third turnrope onto Ash's backside and back, and she crushes that sucker in. It's not something you normally see, and particularly, Ash has never done it before. Let's make this clear. The former Dana Brooke, whether you like her or not, yeah, you can say, girl, they don't care about it. She's a blonde with big tits. That's it. That's what many people would say. But I'm giving her credit. When she went to Busted Open Radio, she spoke to everyone there. She said, I am going to do something different. I am going to make this about my lifestyle, about it being elegant, about showing, what would be the right word? Refinement, grace, beauty. That's the way she wanted to be. And guess what? As much as not many people give a damn about her, except you want to stare at her tits, she has delivered what she did. She's done better than the Influence. Remember? Remember what happened when the Influence showed up? No, Inspiration, not Influence. I'm thinking about Fatal Influence, sorry. The Inspiration, the former you-know-whos. When it came down to it, she has done better than they ever did. And that's not meant to be a knock on both of them from the Inspiration. They weren't bad wrestlers. It's just they didn't decide to break away from their original gimmick. They didn't want to do it. They kept the original gimmick. At least I would say with Ash, she has expanded on the gimmick she started developing in NXT. She has. She has been willing to do dangerous moves. Look, she literally let her ass get crushed in by Jordynne Grace on a damn trash can. That's something, and it wasn't like it was on his side like this where it can crush in. It was like this where part of it crushed in on her stomach. That's not easy to take an aluminum trash can. It will hurt your stomach right here across it. That ain't no joke. So once we saw the tag champs come out trying to help, because you saw that, well, technically you still have this weird story of the Iceman, the concierge, being chased by Rosemary. Then you see the System's Knockouts Tag Champs come out, well, one of them anyway, to try and mess up on Jordynne Grace. And then you got Spitfire. Well, the problem I'm botching here is that what was the point of this when it should be an Emergence? It's because you want to get all 6 women in a match? I feel like they could have done this here. You could have still given Spitfire their match against the tag champs. And there would be no difference. You could still do it at Emergence. And I think that would have been a better moment than seeing it on TNA Impact. This is what I feel. Finally, let's put this in perspective. Nic Nimitz and Josh Alexander. I'm telling you right now. I know not everybody's going to agree with me, but I'm going to tell you this. This was the best segment I've seen that TNA's put on in 4 months. This backroom segment that was just to give both of these guys a chance to talk. It's one of the best I've seen them do. Because when you see how Josh, who's not very great when he talks, Josh is just not a very good talker. Since it was actually roughly real talk, yeah, they both said fuck at the end of their promos. But when you see the story, when you talk about Dolph Ziggler and Josh Alexander, that's how you're going to be with it. This was the most real you've seen TNA do since they transitioned away from Scott D'Amore. This is what I will say, this one promo segment, for me personally, I don't know about anybody else, maybe they didn't see anything to it, but for me personally, this is one of the best promos I've seen TNA put on in 4 months. 4 months, they have not put on great promos. Sometimes they were somewhat good or good. This was due to Josh and Nick making it as real as possible because they both have been always real. Look at Nic Nimitz, who's always been known, and Busted Open Radio said it themselves, when there was an emergency in WWE before transition to TKO WWE, Dolph Ziggler, we're in trouble, break glass, pull him out, and he will give a match that will not be forgotten. I'm not saying he was the best wrestler in WWE at the time, but he was always entertaining enough to make it work when they were in trouble. That's the truth. Then you got Josh Alexander, who was pushed to be the best wrestler on that brand and pretty much was a flag bearer. There's no lie about what Matthew and Josh has said. They made him the flag bearer. Was he a great flag bearer? In most cases, yes. Could talk very well. But at least they did give him storylines that he could work them and made them work. And people are going to remember him for that. And now you got two people who have been known to be workhorses that are now talking against one another, where it kind of wished it was done at Bound for Glory instead of being done in Emergence. But this is what we got here. They both came to a standstill in the match, and we can probably get another match at Bound for Glory, which it would be alright if we get another hour and we draw. This wouldn't be too surprising. But for me personally, how they both spoke is the truth. Look, you can take away how Dolph Nic had been booked for years. And I said it myself, I even did a video or two on him over the decade that he should leave WWE. He's now in a place that, yes, I'm not certain they're booking correctly. I'm not certain they're gaining anything except money from TKO WWE. They may have sold out, but it doesn't show in the product when we look at impact. They should have already gone live already. It doesn't make a difference when we get in 2025. They should have already gone live. They got rid of Scott, who I haven't done a Gump report yet, but you already, if you haven't heard, Scott D'Amore bought Maple Leaf Wrestling. He bought it. Now he's making a pro wrestling alliance with Qatar Wrestling and Oceanic Pro Wrestling to try and make something there. And his show now is going to air, October? And guess who the commentator that's going to be there? It's going to be Mauro Ranallo. Someone that everyone loved in not AEW, I'm sorry. Let me give it to you like this. When it came to Black and Gold, he was the voice. People think of real WWE as Black and Gold. He's now working in Maple Leaf Wrestling, and he will work it starting October. They did this. Management of TNA made this choice. And honestly, even though if you look at Chris Van Vliet, because I have seen it, he's being very cordial. He's being very respectful to Anthem. He didn't bury nobody, which he should, because it's obvious he had a vision for TNA going forward. And I do believe that that might have been what broke it, because the CEO of Anthem did not want it, because he wants TNA to be something entirely different. He's not really caring that it's a wrestling company. It's a satellite company. That's what TNA is. I'm sorry. Anthem doesn't see it as a wrestling promotion. They think of it as an extension of their corporation. And pretty much, money is all that matters. Just like TKO WWE. And if anybody says, you know what's going on with Logan Paul? Yes, I do. I also know what's going on with Prime and with the Olympics when it comes to his company. And Prime's not doing well. And right now he's being pretty much sued by the Olympics. And I know there's more like cryptocurrency and stuff. I know. You don't have to tell me. I know. But you can see how these companies are working. TKO WWE cares about this. Anthem cares about this. And when you look at TNA, it's showing, it's more about this. It's not about the wrestling that we love. It's not. No one's saying that a wrestling promotion can't make money. But they have to remember that the product is pro wrestling. And they must understand not just how to make it work, but to make it fun. And at this time, the booking still is exactly the same. They did not go live. And when you look at how TNA is working with TKO NXT, what have we just sent them? Jordan Grace, Frankie Kazarian, Joe Henry, now Rosemary. There's only a few people left that needs to be sent over there. The one that needs to be sent over there either will be Eddie Edwards, he's very well known, or Moose will be the most important person. He's a TNA Impact Wrestling wrestler that's been known for almost nearing a decade now. He's one of the most well-known outside of TKO WWE. Eventually, he's going to show up on NXT. I do believe that. Like I said with Rosemary, I believe that Moose will eventually show up. And if Trick Williams gets the title again, he will be showing up to deal with Trick. So you will have Trick Williams dealing with a Moose on NXT TV. And that will show you, and as much as people say, I'm excited to see it. I will be too. But then I understand what the goal is there. Because it's another talent for WWE to try and consider. Well, TKO WWE. To consider. What does TNA gain out of it? None of you want to hear it. Except for one maybe. One person. You know who you are. You understand it. That this isn't about making TNA better. This is about what TKO WWE can gain from TNA's own talent, making their show look good, and the talent maybe to say, you know, my contract is coming up soon. Maybe I should go to WWE now because I've seen how they are. But it's just me. Peace.